Mushoku Tensei is a misunderstood story. Some people call it perverted, others call it problematic. And honestly, I get why. The main character's actions can be unforgivable, even disgusting at times. But here's the thing, that's the point. Mushoku Tensei isn't trying to glorify Rudeus, it's trying to rebuild him. After watching the series multiple times, I've realized most people don't actually understand what the story is doing. It's not about wish fulfillment, it's about redemption. So grab a snack, sit back, and let's talk about why Mushoku Tensei deserves a second look. Common criticisms of Mushoku Tensei often focus on the fan service involving underage characters, the portrayal of slavery, and the story seemingly not taking certain events seriously. One website stated that Rudeus tends to be attracted to underage characters, particularly Eris and Sylphie. A common argument against him is that he's still mentally an adult, and therefore aware of his actions and their moral implications. Another controversy involves Rudeus buying a slave named Julie. Julie was born to a family of craftsmen who fell into debt and were eventually forced to sell her into slavery. The anime doesn't explore the slave trade in much depth, leading to many to question why Rudeus would participate in the slave trade at all. Another frequent criticism is that Rudeus never receives proper punishment for his actions, or when he does, the scenes are treated as comically rather than seriously. These are all valid criticisms. However, I believe most of them come from a surface level readings of Rudeus' larger character development. My first counterpoint: how can we judge a hypothetical situation using our own modern morals? For example, imagine reliving your life from birth while keeping all your memories as an adult. Would your interactions suddenly become immoral simply because your mind and body are out of sync? It's an impossible situation to judge fairly. Rudeus is treated as a child, which he is.
You want to shout and make me apologize before I can explain? Must be nice to lord that kind of power over a kid.
In this world, he is not an adult, but a child. Of course, that doesn't mean his actions are excusable, just that they're part of a moral thought experiment, not a moral endorsement. Critics argue that the scenes are unwarranted or uncomfortable to watch, and that's fair. The discomfort is valid, but maybe that's intentional. We're supposed to feel uneasy about someone mentally old acting childish and morally confused. It reinforces that Rudeus is broken, not redeemed. Rudeus is a broken man who was given a second chance. And while he took it somewhat seriously, his death at Orsted's hands showed that he was, in any way, still unfulfilled and ready to move on.
Well, I guess this is where we say goodbye. You got any idea how I'm supposed to pass on from here?
He didn't truly begin to take life seriously until much later in the story. That said, I understand how the tone can make certain scenes feel inconsistent. Comedy and discomfort don't always mix smoothly. But I see this tonal clash as part of the point. Rudeus starts immature, and the story tone reflects that immaturity before gradually maturing him. The scene of Rudeus purchasing Julie is often misinterpreted. He pitied her and wanted to help her. Rudeus made sure Julie's choice was her own. He bought her only with her consent. If she wanted to die, he would have granted her that instead of letting her live in chains. Ultimately, he adopted and freed her, giving her a future. Critics argue that the slavery subplot was not explored properly. I agree. The show doesn't explore the morality of slavery deeply. But I see that as a narrative focus choice, not an endorsement. The story is about Rudeus' empathy, not world politics. He saves one girl, not a system. The claim that Rudeus never faces punishment is also somewhat misunderstood. Rudeus often experiences deep self-loathing and regret, and he makes repeated efforts to change his behavior as he grows older and becomes a family man.
I thought I'd started over, like I was finally getting it right. But turns out I was still ignoring everything that actually matters.
He learns to control his impulses and develops empathy, especially after being called out by characters like Rudeus and Soldat.
Willing to let a child die for your own self-interest? You can't be serious!
Critics make it out that this is not enough. Mental punishment is not enough. This is true, but the story's goal isn't to punish him like a courtroom, it's to transform him. Rudeus' reward is also his burden, his family, his responsibility, and his self-awareness. His guilt never disappears, it develops. Rudeus has apologized and reflected on his actions many times. Sometimes his punishment is physical, but more often it's mental and emotional. He feels guilt for taking advantage of Eris.
She works so hard because she cares about my feelings, and I just ignored hers.
I'm so sorry!
Admits fault for cheating on Sylphie, and takes full responsibility for his mistakes.
I couldn't keep that vow.
Big brother.
Sylphie, please forgive me.
If you, the viewer, approach Mushoku Tensei with an open and unbiased mind, you may realize that the story actually agrees with you. It doesn't excuse Rudeus' behavior, it punishes him by forcing him to face the consequences of his actions and live with their lasting effects. People often assume that when you're reincarnated, you escape all your past consequences, but that's not the point. The show's purpose is to demonstrate that even when given a whole new life, Rudeus still has to face the consequences of his actions through grief and new experiences. Throughout the story, Rudeus does not become strong overnight or improve quickly. His growth comes through loss, regret, sorrow, and personal suffering, all of which show him that this world is a second chance, not a playground. After his encounter with Orsted, he begins to slowly mature, becoming more cautious and deliberate in his choices. Most isekai heroes start from a place of moral safety. They're either pure-hearted, instantly overpowered, or framed as victims who deserved redemption. Characters like Hajime Nagumo or Rumoro Tempest fits this mold. Rudeus, however, starts as the opposite. He's not meant to be admired, he's meant to be understood. His journey isn't about gaining power or respect, it's about breaking out of his shell and experiencing the life he never had. That's why I say Mushoku Tensei isn't problematic, it's painfully honest. The show doesn't force you to forgive him, it asks you to empathize with him. The show doesn't force you to forgive him, it asks you to empathize with him. Rudeus in his previous life was a shut-in loser who accomplished nothing. He never acted when he needed to, isolated himself from others and even his own family. He spent his days doing nothing but watching anime and playing video games. When he finally left his home, he was harassed, stripped naked, and tied to his house gate. A humiliating event that drove him even deeper into isolation. He was nothing in that life. He lost hope. Even when he made a friend, his own anger pushed that person away. Rudeus couldn't get help because he wouldn't allow himself to. That's the tragedy of it. His family offered support, but he rejected it, convinced that no one understood his pain. In the end, it was him who didn't understand. His first life was pathetic, yes, but also deeply sad. Before he died, Rudeus saved a girl from being hit by a truck. That selfish act earned him a second chance. In his new life, Rudeus could experience things without fear of bullies or public humiliation, and he made use of it, becoming a talented mage and a capable swordsman at a young age. Yet despite this newfound ability, he still made mistakes. He was never invincible, no matter how much he wanted to be. Throughout the story, Rudeus forms real, meaningful connections with Sylphie, Roxy, and Eris, just to name a few, and learns that everyone carries their own struggles. The world isn't a video game, it's real. The bathtub scene after the incident with Sylphie is the first major realization of wrongdoing.
No, didn't she?
Yes. I'm sorry.
This is only going to get more important as you grow up, so I need you to pay close attention. You have to be respectful.
Okay.
It shows that Rudeus faces the consequences of his actions and tries to make things right, even if awkwardly.
I'm afraid you don't like me anymore, Sylphie.
But that's the point. He's not a 30-year-old man anymore. He's a child learning emotional control for the first time. He's discovering that his actions have weight. Or take his relationship with Eris. She's harsh, hot-headed, and constantly hits or scolds him. Yet Rudeus never retaliates in anger. Instead, he stays patient, teaches her magic and math, and helps her grow. He owes her nothing, but he still chooses compassion. Their bond evolves through mutual imperfection, and that's what makes it special. When Rudeus makes bad calls, he pays for them. When his plan gets someone killed, Richard immediately calls him out. Rudeus often takes responsibilities for his failures, trying to fix the problems he creates out of pride or guilt. That's the point of the story, his actions always have consequences. The discomfort of the narrative is intentional, not an endorsement. Rudeus doesn't know what's right, He can't save everyone and rarely makes perfect decisions. But that's the point. His journey isn't about moral purity, it's about growth through failure. People often stop watching Mushoku Tensei because of its honesty. The author doesn't shy away from the ugliness of Rudeus' flaws or the consequences of his actions. And honestly, I understand that. I don't fault anyone for dropping the series. It can be hard to watch, even disgusting at times. But I think if you can move past that initial discomfort and give Rudeus a genuine chance, you might start to see him for what he really is, a deeply flawed person trying to rebuild himself, one mistake at a time. The show definitely isn't perfect. It has moments of poor storytelling, and I'll agree that using comedy to soften the impact of Rudeus' actions sometimes feels tone deaf. Even though I believe the earlier humor was intentional, meant to reflect his immaturity and fades as he grows older. It still a valid criticism. The anime could have handled some of those moments with more restraint. I think part of the reason why the show is so misunderstood is because it's not comfortable. We often want our stories to inspire us and make us feel good about growth and redemption, but Mushoku Tensei refuses to make that graceful journey. It shows that change is messy, that becoming better can be slow, awkward, and even shameful. It asks you to look at someone you don't like and still understand them, and that's not something every viewer wants to confront. The early discomfort is the point. Redemption isn't clean, it's painful. Rudeus' growth is full of setbacks, but over time he learns control, empathy, and restraint. In a strange way, Rudeus' Grey Rat reminds me of Arthur Morgan. Both are men haunted by failure. One by the life they wasted and the others by the lives he destroyed. But both stories aren't about being perfect. They're about trying, finally, to be better. Rudeus isn't a power fantasy, he's a reflection on how hard it is to change, even when you're given the chance. The show is written for people like Rudeus, shut-ins and needs who have lost hope or motivation to do anything. Mushoku Tensei tells us to seize our second chances, to grow as individuals, and to live a life without regrets. It reminds us of the importance of building and protecting our families, and of growing through both triumphs and failures. We all make mistakes. I've made mistakes I'm not proud of, but I try to push past them to improve myself and help others around me. That's the beauty of it. If Rudeus can change, slowly, painfully, and imperfectly, maybe that's the proof that any of us can. Thanks for watching. If you made it this far, share your thoughts below. Do you think Mushoku Tensei deserves its reputation? Or do you see it differently? See you next time, guys. Goodbye.